Just recently, myself and Ian, we've started up another podcast, this one called Hammer Horrors. Link to the parent site just below this. This one, Hammer Horrors, we're going to take it in turns, choosing a Hammer film. We'll discuss the film, we're looking behind the scenes on the film, but then we'll focus in on the antagonist of the film and look behind the scenes of the creation of that character, discuss the design effectiveness, coming up with a final tally like we usually do on our podcast shows. All right. And just like we do with the start of all our podcasts that we do, the very first episode, we discuss our background leading up to that. Okay. And Ian said that his first exposure and knowledge of Hammer films came about through those horror film reference books, the hardback reference books by the likes of Alan Frank in the mid-70s. I'm a little bit older than Ian, so I think my first exposure were those really rather terrible black and white bubblegum cards with terrible puns where you had speech captions put over, stills from the Universal and Hammer films. But my next thing was these, Monster Mag, all right? And I was describing it to Ian, and Ian didn't know what I was talking about. And so I thought, if Ian doesn't know about it, and Ian knows his stuff about collectibles and things, maybe it's not a very well-known format. I don't know if it's like UK, if it was mainly UK based. But yeah, back in the 70s and a little bit into the 80s, which I'll discuss in a sec, you had this thing called a Monster Mag, and I was trying to describe it on the podcast, and I don't think I did a very good job. So I thought I'd show it off today. Back in, I think this is 74, 75, Dez Skinn, the mighty Dez Skinn, came up with Monster Mag. This is issue 1. Dez is still going with his Quality Communications. That's his logo there. And this is a reprint. This isn't an original from back then. I mean, it's in immaculate condition, all right? There is, he's re-released not only the ones that were out in the 70s, but he's produced more. Again, I'll put a link just below here to his site. So, yeah, I mean, this is a recreation of issue 1, as you can see, which was 15p, and it was out monthly. So that's the front. That's the back. It is incredible now that, you think you can go into your newsagents, and alongside the comics, you had front and back covers like this. So this is issue 1, and this is what it was, because it's a poster magazine. All right. So Monster Mag, you open it up, and it doesn't open up conventionally, because it opens up like so. All right. So we've got Lon Chaney Sr., Boris Karloff, piece on Christopher Lee. Then look what happens. This dates when it was coming out. All right. So we have there. We have there. Turn it upside down. The mutations. Okay. As I say, fabulous stills. And then, I don't know if I can get this all in. This is why I'm doing this handheld today, because there's no way I'd get it in on a stand. Everything opens up, and you have a whacking, let me put my hand next to Chris, a whacking great big poster to put on your wall, if your mum allowed you to. This is the subject of our first Hammer Horrors, Curse of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's Creature. We were talking about how the final makeup design really wasn't meant to be a final one. Phil Leakey was working on Christopher Lee. He was putting all this mortician's wax on, and got a call saying, there's a press launch tonight in London. Whatever you're doing, do it now. Get up to London. And Chris went up to London and posed for the photographers in this makeup. The producers who were up there were happy with it. They said, right, go with it. And I'm guessing back in the 50s, on the big screen, you didn't really notice it too much, or on video release and DVD release, but on Blu-ray and on a whacking great big poster, yeah, you can see the join, can't you? So that's issue 1. I'll show you the ones I've got, just to give you an idea of just how diverse old Dez could be, because he knew his stuff, Here we go, issue 2. So you've got Tom Baker from the Mutations there, Vincent Price, nice split photo, the Bonnable Dr. Fides. I like the open it out if you dare. Do we dare have a look and see what's inside this one? Because there was contemporary stuff. He featured contemporary stuff at the time. It wasn't just the monsters of Hammer and Universal. He was doing contemporary stuff as well. So we have Dr. Vibes, Females in Fear. Then we'll flip him open. I'm not saying nothing. Torture. So I'm getting a Dangerous Brothers flashback. And who do we have this time? Open him up. Tom. Look at him. Can you imagine having that on your wall? I mean, look, his eyeballs almost as big as my hand. Good Lord. I don't think I'd have that on the wall. I know I had these. I guess I didn't even ask my mum if I could put them on the wall. I've got one more. This is the one I was talking about in the podcast. Not only on this cover do you have Dave Prowse with his eye missing, you've got that rather shocking scene where Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, his hands are damaged, he can't do the surgery, but he actually can still use his teeth, and he bends down to bite the artery during the operation. All right, and on the back this time, more of the Frankenstein, the monster from hell. I mean, I think this is the moment at the end of the film where, spoilers, the inmates of the asylum rip the creature apart, and there's the creature with his innards out. Yeah, as I say, you wouldn't get away with it these days. So, feature on Twins of Evil, which we will be sure to be covering in our new podcast. And we've got, again, bloody horrible stuff from Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. We were just saying it was quite a shocking moment back in Curse of Frankenstein to actually see a close-up shot of a real eyeball. We've got a whole drawer full of them in this one. Victims of Horror. All right. I just realised that's the lovely Caroline Munro, isn't it? As Laura from Dracula AD 1972 when she's found on the building site. Right. Pull open. Yes. Oh, bless him. When he did that scene, would he have thought that he would actually be the subject of a whacking a big poster on someone's bedroom wall? So yeah, as I say, these were out in the mid 70s, and I don't know if it was just a fad at the time. I don't know if it actually crossed over to other countries, this notion, but it was still around in 1981 because Starburst, and I'm not sure if Dez Skinn was still editor of Starburst at the time, but here we go. Look, Starburst poster magazine, Excalibur. You had a poster magazine for Excalibur, and I've got a vague memory that there were other poster magazines. I think was there a Clash of the Titans one? If you know, please leave a comment. So yeah, same thing again. Oh, Gabriel Byrne looking very young. Same thing again, doesn't fold out quite as much. Okay. And then the poster, well, it goes that way, is the film poster. All right. So there we go. And as I say, Dez Skinn resurrected Monster Mag. And he produced one and no more, which is a shame. I mentioned Caroline Munro just a minute ago. Here she is. This is still available. I mean, if you follow that link below, you too can have Caroline Munro on your wall. The official Caroline Munro magazine, all right, which is a poster magazine. So here we go. Caroline Munro in an Adamant video as Stella Star, Sinbad, At the Earth's Core, Rum Adverts, Maniac. Or was that the last picture show? Can never remember. And then, yep, more glamour poses. Woo! Oop. There we go. There's nothing from her being hostess on 321. And why am I not surprised by that? I certainly wouldn't want Ted Rogers up on my wall. That's more horrific than anything I've been showing you. Yeah, and then glamour shot. All right, so, and back page. So there you go. Just a little video. If in case you have listened to the podcast, well done, and thank you. And if you were puzzled and have never heard of these monster mags, there you go. And as I say, Dez is still producing them. Follow the link below. He's selling an awful lot of stuff. So yeah, check it on out.